Hi friends, and welcome to the best Hindu editorial analysis brought to you by Adda247. I am Saurabh Dey. So my dear friends, I'd like to thank all of you, in fact from the bottom of my heart rather, for the performance, for the beautiful, result that you have shown. See, we tried to do something new. We tried to separate the sessions of English and Hindi, and we have got tremendous response from all of you. So really, thanks a lot. So if you really like this session, if you like the change, by the way, which we have brought, like the video, comment your feedback, and also share the video with all your friends whom you know. Now, my dear friends, as we do it regularly, we shall today take a look at the motivational quote that we have over here. Then we shall also take a review at all the important articles that we have with us, and we shall also discuss the points of the important articles that are there. Then we shall also analyze the most important articles that are there today. We'll also have a look at the various comprehension questions and solve them. We'll also learn Parajumbles. We'll also learn new vocabulary words, and we'll also have a quiz. So we can say in this small package, we have a lot to offer. So let's take a look at the motivational quote that we have. Can we have PPT slide number 1? So here's the first one, my dear friends. Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and think of what could go right. Now, my dear friends, this is something that I seriously need to make you understand. Now, laminated paper were introduced. It was introduced, by the way, in the recent examinations of IBPS Clerk mains, and a lot of students, by the way, complained of not being able to use that laminated paper in a proper way. Now, my dear friends, see, if you want, you can definitely think hundreds of negative points about something. But look, it's the IBPS. It's the board which conducts the examination. And if the board decides to do something, then you'll have to follow it. You'll have to adhere to it. You'll have to, train yourself in making sure that you are able to do it. I remember the same thing when online examination was introduced. A lot of students had a lot of problems, and they were like, sir, how shall we be able to, to take part in the online examination because of this and that and blah, blah, blah. See, learn to accept change. Okay, my dear friends. So instead of thinking that what all can go wrong, start thinking at the positive aspect. Because you know what? More and more papers are used, more and more trees are cut. So do you want to stay in an environment which is full of pollution, by the way, even more than there is today? So that's why learn to embrace change and think what could go right instead of thinking negative all the time. Okay, my dear friends, now let's take a look at the newspaper that we have over here. So guys, here's the newspaper for you. Now, my dear friends, see, there are a lot of important articles over here. The first one is getting back on the democratic path. Now, see, this particular article is the one that we shall analyze today. It's an extremely important article, and it's talked about the various parts and, the various specialities of democracy or for democracy that we should keep in our mind. At left over here, another political article, Two States, like the film, pretty much like the film Two State. All right, so this is the more like what you say. A very important article, but a political article, not important from the bank point of view, although this is important from the civil service point of view for sure. Then over here, locked down, another important article which we shall take today, and we shall analyze this. It's about the various lockdown and the shutdown, the federal government shutdown or lockdown of the US, and we shall discuss this one for sure. Now, towards an end game. So towards an end game. Now, this is an article actually which is based on the entire conflict between Kurdish fighters and the Turkish government. So you see, you will need to understand some background over here. See, you can find the subheading which says Turkey makes a decisive move against Kurdish fighters on the borders with Syria. So now, by the way, see, Kurdish fighters are more like, Kurdish militants in the eyes of the Turkish government. So perhaps the point over here is, see, the Kurds want their own country. Now, their country is actually going to be of a country, from which, see, the thing is, some Kurds also live in Syria, some of them live in Iraq, some of them live in Turkey. So what these Kurds want to do, they want to form a separate country of their own from their people who live in various countries. Now, this does not go well with the other Middle Eastern countries, and that is why there's a lot of conflict over there. Now, recently, the Turkish government, by the way, their president ordered the Turkish forces to cross the border, go into Syria and kill the Turkish militants who are there in their eyes. Now, let's take a look at some points over here. If we can have that, please. Can I have the first slide that we have? Yes. So, now you need to get some background check over here. Since I have told you that the Kurdish fighters or the Kurdish people live in 3 countries basically. Some of them live in Syria, some of them live in Iraq, some of them live in Turkey. And let me tell you one more thing. Kurdish fighters played a very, very important role in defeating the ISIS. Now, so June 23, 2015 in Syria, what happened? Kurdish fighters announced that they have taken back the town of An Issa, located 30 miles north of Raqqa, a city proclaimed to be the capital of the caliphate. A military base near An Issa, which had been occupied by ISIS since last August, is abandoned by the terrorist group the night before the Kurdish forces seized town. So perhaps, see, I just told you that the Kurds played a very, very important role in driving away the ISIS. So this is the point on June 23, 2015. Now, this one fact over here is being stated about the Kurdish forces. Then, 17th February 2016, later next year in Iraq, Turkish airstrikes target some of the PKK's top figures in the northern Iraq's Haftanian region. Now, you need to understand what's PKK. PKK is that political party which represents the people of the Kurdish origin. So, Kurdish people, they have also got a political party, and this PKK is that political party. All right. So, now the thing over here is that in northern Iraq's Haftanian region, where many PKK party members used to live, used to stay, that particular portion was targeted by the Turkish airstrikes, perhaps by the Turkish Air Force, so that they are able to, kill them. And that's the point. Airstrikes come after a terrorist attack in Turkey kills 28, although no Kurdish group has claimed responsibility for those attacks. Now, why this airstrike was conducted? This was conducted because there was a terrorist attack in Turkey which killed 28, though this particular Kurdish militant group did not say that we have conducted the attack. Still, they were made the point, and in fact, still they were, killed in this particular airstrike which was done in revenge by the Turkish Air Force. Now, on March 13, 2016, 2 months later after the previous event, in Turkey, a car bomb attack kills at least 37 people in Ankara. The Kurdistan Freedom Falcons, or the TK, an offshoot of the Kurdish separatist group PKK, takes responsibility for the attack. So PKK is more like a political entity, but there is a separatist group from the PKK. So perhaps, the PKK are the good guys most probably, and there is another TAK. So perhaps these are the radicals. They are Kurdish radicals because they want to take power by force. So the TAK or the Kurdistan Freedom Falcons, what they like to call themselves. Wow, quite mouthful. Anyway, so they actually conducted a terrorist attack in Turkey now to avenge the airstrikes which were done on PKK. Alright, now, then on March 17, 2016, 4 days later, in Syria, Kurds declared that a swath of northeastern Syria is now a separate autonomous region under Kurdish control. The claim stirs up controversy as Syrian and Turkish officials say it goes against the goal of creating a unified country after years of civil war. So, the Kurds, by the way, since they were fighting the ISIS, they cleared off a portion of northeastern Syria. They freed that portion from the ISIS, and then they declared that, see, we wanted a nation for ourselves, hence we shall make our nation over here. But since that portion belongs to Syria, the Syrian government officials, along with the Turkish government officials, they have said that, see, this is backstabbing. We brought you in to clear out the ISIS, not to make sure that you get your own country. Really typical. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next slide, please. Some more facts over here. So, July 2016. On July 2016, what happens in Turkey? Following a failed coup attempt, President Erdogan declares a state of emergency. In the first 3 months, the pro-Kurdish media outlets are shut down and tens of thousands of civil servants with alleged PKK connections are dismissed or suspended. The purge includes ministers of parliament, military leaders, police teachers, and mayors, including in the Kurdish majority city of Diyarbakir. So perhaps, after, I suppose you would know about this, that there was a coup attempt to, to heckle the President Erdogan, in fact, to remove him, by the way, from power. But after that coup attempt failed, the Turkish president over here, Erdogan, he declared a state of emergency. Then what happened? After declaring emergency, in the first 3 months, by the way, the media outlets which had support for Kurdish people, for the Kurdish sentiment, they were all shut down. Tens of thousands of civil servants who were supposed to have a connection with the PKK or the political party of the Kurdish people, they were all suspended or dismissed. Then, in fact, now you would have thought that, see, it would only be a limited amount of people. No. Actually, this removal or, suspension included ministers, parliament ministers of Turkey, military leaders of Turkey, police teachers of Turkey, and mayors of Turkey, including in the Kurdish majority city of Diyarbakir. Then what happened last year, September 25, 2017, in Iraq, Iraqi Kurds vote in favor of declaring independence from Iraq. More than 92% of the roughly 3 million people voted yes to independence. So I told you earlier that the Kurds are there in Iraq, in Syria, and in Turkey as well. So the Kurds in Iraq, they had a vote, by the way, they had a vote of independence, and 92%, more than 90% of the roughly 3 million, 30 lakh, by the way, voted yes to get independence. So 30 lakh people of entire, the Kurds in Iraq, I suppose we've got more than 25 lakh back in Lucknow itself. Anyway, so guys, this is the point, and I hope that you were able to grab the important facts over here. Now, why am I telling you this? Because you shall be able to understand this article on your own when you know about these facts, okay? So now let's go back to the newspaper once again, people, if you can do that. So here is another article for you, The Perilous March of Hindustan. Now, this particular article, see, actually it deals out that, see, in some political parties are making sure that they are able to, they are able to apply the stamp of Hindi on each and every state of India. Now, there is something which everybody needs to understand. Now, there's an article in the Constitution which clearly mentions that, see, English and Hindi, these are the two languages in which official work is carried out. India has no national language, okay guys. So in fact, there are 23 recognized official languages of India, but most of the government work is done in English and Hindi. Alright, so there is not a single national language that India have. But some people have got this misperception, in fact wrong perception of having Hindi as the national language, and because of which they want to apply this to everybody. So this is what is being converted, is being conveyed over here. Now, next over here is payroll reporting work. So perhaps if you remember, previously yesterday we had an article where the new payroll report came, and that the report was more like that how can payrolls be improved, but it was made out to be that 55 lakh jobs are created every year in India. So there was a strong misunderstanding regarding that. So this particular article is more like the same, more or less the same. So hence you can understand and comprehend from your own point of view. Now, then when you talk about the color of inequality. Now see, some new passports are being issued which are orange in color, and these passports are also being criticized because the thing is that they show that some people think that this is actually a show of indiscrimination, and that's why they are being criticized. Now can I have the slide where can I show the points regarding this orange passport, please? Okay, so orange passports will only be issued to the workers who require an immigration check. Now see, there are 4 colors of passport. Alright, I hope I would have got the picture, but I'm sorry I forgot to get the picture. From the next time I'll get the pictures of the same. So the orange passport, this is the latest passport by the way, this will only be issued to workers who require an immigration check. Alright, that's why. So means the thing is that they'll have to check in with the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs when they travel to certain countries for employment. Okay, that's the point. Now, the white passport, there's a white colored passport, Indian passport, which is actually it's only given to the government officials, rather not the government officials. In fact, it's only given to the government, to the people who represent the government of India. For example, the Prime Minister is supposed to have a white passport. The President of India is supposed to have a white passport because they represent the government of India. Now, on the other hand, if you talk about a diplomat is going to have a maroon color passport. A maroon passport is what the diplomats of India have. Then when you talk about the common people like you and me, the mango people, we have blue passports. All right, navy blue passports. But then again, an orange passport has been introduced for workers. Now, and for which countries is this orange passport valid? Well, the countries are Afghanistan, Bahrain, Indonesia, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Lebanon, Malaysia, Oman, Qatar, South Sudan, Syria, Thailand and UAE. But why do these workers, migrant workers, require this orange color passport? Well, it is being done to safeguard such workers. Now, why is that? Because there have been many cases where the workers from India, they go to such countries in foreign, and then their owners over there, they snatch their passports and then they are not able to come back or even send money. So that's why, so these orange, passports will be issued to migrant workers so that they register themselves with the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, so that the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs is able to take care of them. All right. Now, so orange passports, by the way, is more, they are issued to people, to the migrant workers in India who are, who don't even have who didn't even pass class 10th. So actually the orange passports are issued to less educated migrant workers for countries that don't have strong immigrant laws, by the countries like the list I mentioned. Now, okay, now why is this facing criticism? Because some people are calling that this is actually a discriminatory move and you are discriminating against these workers who are less educated. Well, so guys, this is the fact regarding this particular orange passport, and I am sure that if you go through this fact, if you understand this fact, then you will have a better understanding of the article that's at hand for us to understand. Okay, so now my dear friends, it's time for us that we take care of the first article that we have over here. Can we have the newspaper, please? Okay, so now guys, this is our first article for the day. It's more like getting back on the democratic path. All right, so it's getting back on the democratic path. Now, why is this being given? See, India is a democracy, right? India is a democracy. What do you say? The type of government of India, is it an autocracy or is it a democracy? Democracy, definitely. We are supposed to be the largest democracy in the world. Now, India gave itself a great system, but now does not seem to know how to keep it up to standard. So of course, that as far as governments are concerned, for the people, by the people, that we have, by the way, is the best government, the best type of government possible. But then again, it looks like as if we don't know how to handle the same. Now, why does the author, Mr. K.S. Bajpai, feel so? Let's understand when we understand this article. So, howsoever stock takings, anniversary stock takings assess pluses and minuses, one conclusion is surely inescapable: India remains woefully short of its potential. So, a few days later, we are going to celebrate our Republic Day. So, whenever, we assess that over the past few years after getting independence, how has our performance been, the pros and the cons? One point that constantly stays with us from, one point from which we cannot escape at all is that we were not able to live up to the potential, the talent that we could have. Now, whatever our excuses, one cause is equally fundamental. The decisions shaping our destiny are themselves shaped by considerations increasingly unworthy of a serious nation. Now, we might have various reasons that, see, the British left us poor, and perhaps, we are supposed to be a poor country, we don't have modern machines, we are not developed because we have been exploited by other rulers, blah, blah, blah. See, no matter whatever excuses we give, but there's one thing that actually remains with us. See, after the independence, whatever decisions we could have taken would have shaped our destiny in a better way. But the decisions, most of them, were not the way they were supposed to be and were not the way in which our full potential could have been utilized. Now, let's understand more. So, yes, we are a difficult country to govern. None ever coped with so many competing diversities, rights and claims in such huge proportions and through democracy. So, perhaps, I am pretty sure that you guys would have heard the news of, tons of gold being hidden under a temple in Unnao. I suppose this is a story, and back in 2014-15, it was doing rounds like that. So that tons of gold are going to be found beneath a temple in Unnao. And, and almost there were a lot of fringe groups which had arrived to, make sure, in fact, to claim that gold. Although there was not a single ounce of gold, but fringes in, a lot of fringe parties were there to make sure that, they are able to get their hands on the goal. So perhaps, yes, it does give us a look at what kind of country we are. So we are a difficult country to govern, and we have lots of diversities and languages and various kind of cultures, and also various rights and claims. But then again, they should have been. This is what you get when you are a democracy, and this is not it's not an excuse to say that this is why we were not able to live up to the potential. Okay, that's the point over here. I suppose I can give you a little more, zoomed look. Okay. So, I hope you will be able to understand in a better way now. This makes it all the more necessary to employ common sense, vision and judgment and balance and largeness, and above all reason, the less these matters to us, the farther back we fall. So, perhaps, we need to make sure that whatever, despite the diversities that we have, despite the great points that we have, we need to make sure that whatever decisions we take in our policies should employ common sense, should have a good vision, should have a good judgment, should be balanced, and the largeness should also be there, so that we are being able to, cater to the most of the need of the people. But then again, if we don't apply all of this, then our decisions are going to make us fall for sure, like we have been fallen for the past few times. Now, mutual conflict. The whole essence of parliamentary government lies in the intention to making things work. Strength is exactly measured by the unity of political parties upon its fundamental objects. So, the point over here is, see, now for us, in fact, in today's world, what is the strength? If I ask you, which party has the most which party is the strongest in number of strength in the parliament, then you'll name the BJP, or perhaps the party which is ruling. In parliament, in the case of a parliamentary government, which is the main, the base of a democracy, strength is not measured by number. The strength is measured by the unity of political parties. All right, guys, and that is the point behind making democracy work. So definitely there's going to be there can be difference in opinion, but that does not mean that the democracy comes to a stop. It simply means that we can agree. We need to find the middle path, and that's how things work. Now, Lord Balfour's perception pinpoints why we have mangled our system of recognition. Far from seeking congruence of fundamental objectives, leave alone unity, our parties compete to prevent things working. Okay, now, this was actually said by Lord Balfour that I would just explain to you regarding democracy and parliamentary work. But as far as our nation has understood it, as far as our political parties have comprehended the meaning of democracy and parliamentary system, it's more like, what can we stop the government from doing? That's the idea of the opposition. Not talking about a single party. Whether you take the parliament, whether you take any of the state that we have, whether it's the legislative assembly, whether it's the general parliament that we have, the Lok Sabha that we have, the People's Assembly, this idea is everywhere. The idea of the opposition is not to correct the government, but make sure that the work does not happen. And this is not just the case of the opposition. If the ruling party is somewhere in the opposition, they will do the same. That's the point. Now, let's understand this para, and then we'll take the question number 1. Our needs, long incompatible with the forces working amongst us, have moved into mutual conflict. So, unless there's a mutual conflict, nothing can be said to be successful in our parliament. So, this is what seems to be the story of our political parties. Now, let's see what's the story of your question number 1. Let's take a look at question number 1, please. So, now here's the question number 1 for you, my dear friends. Which of the following is not true according to para 1? So, we just mentioned the para, and you have to tell us that which of the following is not true according to that para. Statement A is, howsoever anniversary stock takings assess pluses and minuses, one conclusion is surely inescapable, and that is, India remains woefully short of its potential. Statement B is, yes, we are a difficult country to govern. None ever coped with so many competing diversities, rights and claims in such huge proportions and through democracy. Alright, then statement C is, far from seeking congruence of fundamental objectives, leave alone unity, our parties compete to make things work. Now, which of the following do you think is true considering the 3 statements, my dear friends? Well, So if we talk about statement A, that is howsoever anniversary stock takings assessed. So means in what way do the stock taking happen after, because after a few days we're going to have a Republic Day, by the way. So no matter in which way we have our stock takings, you know, that what has changed till now, some point remains inescapable and something which we cannot escape from, and that is India is extremely short of its potential. Is this true? What do you say, guys? Is this correct according to the para? Statement B says, yes, we are a difficult country to govern. None ever cope with so many competing diversity. So we are a country which is extremely diverse, which has got various rights and claims, in which, you know, people like there are huge proportions throughout the democracy. So is this true according to the para? What do you say about this, my dear friends? Then statement C says over here, far from seeking congruence of fundamental objectives, leave alone unity, our parties compete to make things work. Now, do our parties compete to make things work, or do they compete to make things not work? What do you think is true? Well, I think, my dear friends, you know one thing for sure, that's option number 3. Only C is the correct answer for this question, because it should have been to make things stop and not work. So that's the thing. And my dear friends, I hope you have marked option number 3. Now let's go forward and take a look at question number 2 that we have over here. Next slide, please. So guys, what's the correct answer for the word mangle? What's the correct synonym for the word mangle from the options of aid, repair, damage, or help? Well, you can answer in the meantime. Let me just give you a sense into the option and the word. So aid, by the way, means to help, to provide help, or to make sure some work is done. All right. Repair means, you know, after something has been damaged, undo the damage and improve the condition of the damaged thing. Option number 3 is damage, you know, absolutely. To harm something, to damage something is the same thing. Then help is perhaps providing help or providing aid. So mangle, by the way, meant, you know, to change the shape of something or to damage something. So that means, guys, if you want to choose a synonym of mangle from the options, it has to be option number 3, damage. So I hope, guys, that you have been able to get the correct answer. And now let's come back to the article that we have over here. Can we do that, please? So guys, our social tensions, you know, our social tensions need sensitive healing but suffer ever harsher divisiveness. Now, social tensions, let me tell you something, by the way. For example, if I talk about dowry, I'm pretty sure that you guys are aware of this thing. If the boy is an IAS, then he is going to get a dowry of, he deserves a dowry of 2 crore in the view of some people. If the boy is preparing for IAS, then he deserves to get a dowry of 1 crore. If the boy is a probationary officer, then he deserves to have a dowry of 50 lakh. Now, this is just a single tension and a single stupid notion that I'm talking about over here. So we have got various social tensions like this, and because of this, you know, there's extreme divisiveness because of the point as well. And not only this, inter-religion marriages are a taboo in India, you know, because once a Muslim marries a Hindu, there's love jihad. Once a Hindu marries a Muslim, he has to convert into Islam, else they cannot live together, and etc., etc. So what exactly is wrong with our people that we seriously need to understand? Now, our political institutions and processes need to address rising challenges but sink ever deeper in backwardness. So the thing is, our political institutions, you know, the parliament, the legislative assembly, is supposed to go forward with the time, but because of the various actions that they take, they seem to getting, you know, regression, and they seem to get more and more regressive. Now, our administrative machinery desperately needs efficiency but corrodes into dysfunctionality. So whenever some new bill is going to be passed, whenever some new change is going to happen, all of a sudden when people think that, okay, now a new bill will come and perhaps a new act will be made, but no. Our opposition is there for what? They are there to oppose, and that's what they think they have to do for each and everything, even if it is for the benefit of the people, even if it's for the laws, they are going to do the same. Now, we live in a turbulent, dangerous world, but have neither time or nor expertise to attend it. So perhaps, yes, the world is getting dangerous, it's getting more pollutant and everything, you know, but still the point is that we simply have the time to go towards our own job and make sure that our work gets completed no matter what happens to the world. Typical. Now, our security challenges become more complex while both are conceptual and procedural drawbacks retard our response capability. So perhaps, the security forces of India are one of the few institutions that do their job desperately, and they do their jobs religiously. But still we make sure that we do hamper their job as well in one way or the other, since that's what we are supposed to do. Now, see, another point that we need to understand over here, India is not alone in such difficulties. So when we see this, it gives us a sigh of relief. That's how we Indians are. So we are not the only ones who are facing problems. There are other countries as well. Now, let's understand more. So countries worldwide find existing government systems unable to cope with contemporary challenges or people's expectations, some even with basic needs. So there are many nations in the world, by the way, who are not even able to complete the basic need of, of food perhaps, of food, of housing, of their own people. Now, so this is not something which should make us feel happy about us, because there are many places in India where these problems do exist. Now, particularly alarming is the condition in democracies where the ideals and concepts, the very essence of their being, are threatened. So perhaps, in fact, you will find this surprising that most of the autocracies, they are happy. The people seem to be happy over there. But most of the places where there's a democracy, the idea seems to be going wrong. What is going wrong? That's not clear, but something or the other is wrong for sure. And most of the democracies are like that. This is not what I am saying. This is what the author is saying. Now, widely idolized till now, with even those trampling it, claiming to uphold it, democracy has never had many practitioners. So perhaps, now a time has come when even the people who are actually trampling democracy, who are harming democracy, even they also say that we are upholding democracy, we are not harming democracy. Now, let's understand more. Well, see, a few North Atlantic states apart, most even in Europe, claiming to be exemplars and actually became democracies after India. So not many, but the thing is that, except a few Northern Atlantic states, most of the countries in the Europe, by the way, they claim to be exemplars of democracy. They claim to be a perfect example of democracy. They actually became a democracy after India. And in fact, almost all colonized states started as democracies. Almost all turned rapidly into autocracies. In fact, all the colonial states, perhaps that mean a country which had somebody else ruling them. That's a colonial state. Like India is a colonial state because the Britishers were ruling us. So almost all the colonized states, which actually started as democracies, rapidly turned into autocracies. Thank God we are not, but if you want to see a close example, look at the neighbor Pakistan. Now, we Indians could long claim shining exception, but the ease with which the emergencies could be imposed is warning how fragile our version is. So we Indians can say that, see, we have completed more than 7 decades and absolute democracy exists. But then again, hold on, go back. Did you forget there was an emergency in the 1970s? So, with how freely our government can declare an emergency, this is something that should really, really make us think exactly, is our democracy very strong or it's not? Well, guys, now let's take a look at question number 3 that we have here for you. Can we have that, please? So, guys, here is the question for you. Now, statement A is countries worldwide find existing governmental systems unable to cope with contemporary challenges nor people's expectations, some even with basic needs. Then, statement B over here is widely idolized till now, even those trampling it, claiming to uphold it, democracy has never had many practitioners. Then statement C is almost all colonial states started as democracies, almost all turned rapidly into autocracy. So, what do you think, guys, is true according to the para? Well, now before I ask you to attempt this question, I'd like to remind you guys, whether you give a wrong answer or a right answer, it doesn't matter. You should give an answer for sure. So guys, statement A over here is countries worldwide find existing governmental systems unable to cope with contemporary challenges or people's expectations, some even with basic needs. Is this true according to the previous slide or the previous para that we just saw? What do you say, guys? Is this true or not? Statement B over here says, widely idolized till now, with even those trampling it, claiming to uphold it, democracy has never had many practitioners. So is this true according to the para, or is something wrong in this particular thing? Then, over here, statement C says, almost all colonized states started as democracies, almost all turned rapidly into autocracies. Is this true, or there's something wrong with this? Well, guys, I am sure that you would have said that, sir, all the statements are true. The correct answer, my dear friends, is not from these options. I didn't tell you that, you need to choose the answer from these options. I simply said, no matter whether you choose a correct answer or a wrong, it doesn't matter, but you have to attempt this, because I can accept, a wrong answer, but I cannot accept wrong trying. So guys, all those of you who typed or who wrote in the comment section, all are true. You have given the correct answer. Learn to think out of the box, learn to take risk, and also win. Alright, so guys, I hope that you got the basic idea of this particular article. Now let's take a look at question number 4 that we have over here. Can we have the next slide? So, trample. Now what do you think, guys? What's the meaning, rather antonym for the word trample from the options encroach, aid, crush, infringe? So, as far as the antonym is concerned, see, trample means, to damage something by stepping over it, like we say that the elephants trampled all the grass and plants in their way. So that's what trampling is, Then encroach, all right, it's more like putting your right over something which is not yours. That's encroachment. Then aid is once again helping, perhaps. Crush is simply to kill something or to damage something, severely crush. Then infringe is once again more like encroach, to claim something which is rightfully not yours, pretty much like the Chinese do keep on doing with 28 nations around them. Anyway, so guys, the correct answer over here is what? It's going to be option number what? Number 2, aid. Now, why is that? Because see, trample, the meaning and the synonym of trample are going to be encroach, crush, and infringe, but you have to give an antonym over here. So definitely, if you talk about the crushing of something, if you talk about destroying of something or trampling of something, their antonym is going to be helping something. So that's why option number 2, aid, is the correct answer. I hope you mark the same. Now, my dear friends, it's time for us to take a look at the next article that we have over here, because I hope that you got the idea behind the first article. So can we have the next article, please? Okay, so here's the next. Okay, next article means newspaper, sir, not the Parajumble. Thank you. So locked down. Now, what's the idea of lockdown over here? Well, the government shutdown in the US could hurt both Republicans and Democrats. Okay, now the point over here is, my dear friends, that see, there was a lockdown, a very hard shutdown in the US, and this particular lockdown can definitely harm a lot the Republicans and also the Democrats. So we don't have just buns in India, they do happen in America as well, and that's called a lockdown, by the way. Now, so last week, as the 19th federal government shutdown in US history went into force, if previously occasions are any indication, this shutdown will also lead to the furlough of many hundreds of thousands of government workers and closures of national parks, with a potential loss of hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue and a possible overall macroeconomic cost of several billions of dollars in terms of productivity loss associated with the cessation of multiple public services. Well, guys, spoiler alert, this shutdown has already stopped now. Anyway, so by the way, now this started last week though, the 19th federal government, it's called the 19th federal government shutdown. Why? Because it's an official government shutdown. Alright, now why was this done? Because there was an issue over there between the two major parties, which is the Republicans and Democrats. Now there are various issues. What exactly happens when the federal government shutdown happens? Well, there are various issues that happen. Various government services get stopped, the national parks close, and and various officials get a leave, by the way, a paid leave, mind you. Then, now let's understand more over here. So this encore is entirely preventable. This is entirely preventable, and seismic payment default can be traced back to one escapable reality in Washington: congressional dysfunction stemming from bitterly partisan politicking. So, a federal shutdown occurs when lawmakers fail to agree on a spending bill and cannot even sign off on a stopgap funding measure that might keep the government machinery humming for a few more months. So, the thing over here is that, see, Now, what happened over here is that, see, the some activities were supposed to happen. Some activities were supposed to happen because of which some spending is required. And now, if you want that spending to happen, then all the parties in the parliament, majorly, they have to sign that bill. But the Congress, by the way, the congressional dysfunction happened over there. Now, why is that? It's not like our Congress. Okay, you can say pretty much like our Congress only. So, perhaps, you know, all the parties did not sign that particular bill, because of which funds could have been arranged and the things which should have been taken away, or perhaps some funds which were required, perhaps they were not even provided, they were not being available because that bill was not signed, because of which the government services had to shut down. Now, but they are open now, by the way. If you have any friends in the US, you can tell them. So, I'm sure they'll know about this. In this case, the bill in question would have helped tide over a looming fiscal gap at least until the middle of February. Yet, that did not happen because Republicans refused to compromise on a hardline approach on the immigration policy, specifically on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, the Obama-era clemency policy for foreign-born children of the US-based undocumented workers. Now, see, there was a policy, by the way, in the Obama era, and that policy was that, see, if there are workers who are working in the USA and then they have a child, then that particular child will get US citizenship. But then there was a step taken by their current president, Mr. Donald Trump, by the way, and he actually makes sure that this particular DACA stops. Now, because he stopped this, on the other hand, when there was stopgap funding required, then this particular bill came around. The opposition party over there, they told Trump, if you take away your measure and make sure that the DACA comes back to action, then we will sign the bill and, you know, the working will not stop of the government agencies. But Mr. Trump did not budge, because of which the opposition party did not sign the bill, and, you know, this whole scenario happened and there was a shutdown, eventually a shutdown in the USA. So, I hope, guys, that this is clear for you to understand what's happening in the USA. Now, let's come back to India and let's take a look at the Parajumble that we have over here. Can we have the Parajumble now? So, yes, thank you, guys. Now, statement A, B, C, D, E, F is there for you to answer. See, this is on a live session, else I would have given you time. What you need to do is pause the video right now. Now, I hope you would have paused the video. See, the thing is that first of all, you need to find the first statement. Then you need to make sure that you are able to take care of the logical pairs, and then you should understand what's the correct order of the Parajumble. Now, let's go forward and find the order of the Parajumble, please. So, guys, here's the Parajumble for you. It's FAE. DCB. The order of the Parajumble is FAE DCB. Now, why is that? See, statement AF is more like, it starts with the statement what happened over there, then it's with then statement A, by the way, it acts like the qualifier of the statement F, then the action is further clarified in statement E, and then statement D is more like, which adds more information about statement E, and then C actually shows the primary object of the Parajumble of the rearrangement, and then statement B concludes this entire statement or Parajumble. So this is how Parajumbles are made. Now let's go back to the article once again. Newspaper. Okay, thank you. So the policy, by the way, was ended in September 2017 when President Donald Trump revoked, means to remove, his predecessor's executive order to protect these children, the so-called dreamers, from deportation. So perhaps, since they were supposed to get US citizenship under the previous law, now President Donald Trump evoked this particular executive order. So now what happened is the workers and their children will have to go back and will be deported, and they will not, and the children will not be eligible to stay in the US as citizens anymore. So this apparently rattled the Democratic lawmakers to the point where they were willing to make a stopgap budget contingent on Congress agreeing to legislation to shield nearly 700,000 of these law-abiding youngsters from removals. All right. So perhaps now the workers of these children, around 700,000 in number, by the way, they have to be deported right away. So that's the thing. That's the thing what Donald Trump has done. And perhaps in order to stop this, the Democratic lawmakers tried whatever they could, but they couldn't. And that's why perhaps they said that we are not going to sign the bill for fundings. And since you did not listen to us, we are not going to listen to you. So that's what happened in the US. And then there was a band or a stop down or the lockdown. Well, now it's all okay and now it's all fine. Now let's go back to the answer or the question that we have over here. Can we have the next question, please? So guys, here is the word for you, furlough. So tell me, my dear friends, what's the correct synonym for the word furlough? There are various options. Let's analyze them one by one. Restlessness means, no rest at all. No rest at all, constant working. Then business means constant working of busyness. Then work means work. There's no need to describe the meaning of this. Then leave doesn't mean leave. It means to go on a holiday, to get a holiday, that kind of leave. So guys, the furlough, the correct synonym for the word furlough is more like what? It's more like leave, a holiday, which all of us want. Leave, option number 4. I hope you answered it correctly. That's the answer. Let's take a look at the next question, which is more like the theme of this para which we just discussed. Next question, please. So, what is the theme of the paragraph according to you, my dear friends? Option number 1 is the US shutdown after Trump presidency. Option number 2 is the US shutdown because of stopgap bill. Option 3 is the US shutdown of public services. Option 4 is the restart of public services. Option number 5 is the export of immigrants. Alright guys, now what do you think, my dear friends, is the correct theme of the paragraph? You need to answer that. So, option 1, by the way, is more like that the US shut down after Trump became the president. It has never happened before. That's what option number 1 says. Option number 2 is more like the US shut down because of stopgap bill, because this particular stopgap funding bill came, and that is why there was a US shutdown. What do you say about this? Option number 3 is the US shutdown of public services. The public services in the USA was shut down. Option number 4 is more like the restart of public services, and now it's all resumed. So is that what the theme of this para all about? Option number 5 is the export of immigrants. So immigrants will be exported, rather sent back and deported. Is this what the theme of this paragraph all about? I'm sure till now you would have answered the question correctly. It is number 2, the US shutdown because of the stopgap bill. So guys, that's all about the various articles that we have. And now let's take a look at the final question, the last question, question number 8. So guys, what's the correct antonym for the word politicking? What do you say from the options, which are door-to-door campaign, canvassing, resting, stumping? So guys, door-to-door campaign is more like which you see, I'm pretty sure that when there are elections of, block elections, or civil elections, or more like legislative assembly elections, you will find various political party leaders outside your own door. So, that's door-to-door campaign. Canvassing is more like, doing, canvassing is for elections, perhaps making sure, asking people, requesting them to vote for you and vote for your party. Resting is having a rest, taking a leave. Stumping is constantly, to stump is over here means, not taking rest at all, doing whatever it takes, and most of the time, stumping is used for election campaigning only. So I hope guys till now you would have given the correct answer, and that is option number 3, resting over here. So now we can come back to the main screen, please. No PPT, no paper. Thank you. So guys, that was all from the English version of the Hindu Editorial Analysis. This particular version is extremely important. This whole show is extremely important for your various examinations like that of UPSC exams, like your SBI exam, like your Syndicate Bank exam, your Canara Bank exams, your SSC exams, your CLAT exams, and your CTET exams. So if you don't want to miss this show, make sure you log into the Adda247 YouTube channel daily at 7 p.m. because then you will get this show. And don't forget, if you want the Hindi video link, that's available in the comment section in the pinned comments, and you will find the PPT of this particular show also in the pinned comments. So that was all from me, guys. Well, it's time to say peace out.